obviously fastly promoted within their military. Continue along your journey, man. Continue along your journey. We interjected and started, chopping it up about soft skills and what makes people successful. And that's what I love about having conversation with you, man, is we can be on a mission to try to solve something. Next, we're talking about solving the world's problems. But
rabbit holes.
But good rabbit holes, right? So continue along with the journey. Obviously, you're mid-career now. You're having a lot of success in the military, and then continue along your journey.
Okay, so for me, the military, it's they have expectations, and I try to get all of my young troops and anybody who talks to me just to buy into those expectations. Like, you signed up for this, you know what I mean? You know what the military expects. Two things, you know what I mean? No, expect you to keep your nose clean, pass a PT test, and do your job and know your job. Like, do those things, and that's it, right? That's just the basics. But then when you understand how it's structured for, promotion, you understand what each rank or, role requires. Like, for myself, like I always tell people as a E3, you should be working on becoming that, that's me in the shop, learn your job, being proficient at your job, make sure your customer section is good, make sure you're passing your PT test. If you can, take a college classes, make sure you're building up your peers. These are like blocks that's set out on your EPR, just line by line. And if you execute those things, the military, promotes you. Obviously, you have to do your end by making sure you're studying and you're ready for those tests when they come about. And that's where the distractions come in. I give you an example. I just got home from Qatar last May. And I had a couple of troops that were like, hey, well, I want to put on E4. And I was like, okay, well, let me know your weak spots. These weren't my troops. We all come in together. So it's like, hey, let me know your weak spots. Tell me your goals. I had a couple guys want to go Space Force. They had some issues. And they're like, oh, well, my supervisor didn't write these things. I was like, okay, well, we'll square it all the way. First, I need to get on you. I need to get to make sure you're doing what you need to do. Just check off boxes. It's like, okay. Then I was like, okay, how's your PT? We had one guy working off. He had issues with PT. It's physical training, for those who don't know what I mean. So I would wake up in the morning, make him go to the gym with me. We'll go for runs, be like, hey, what are your eating habits? And then I was like, hey, well, you need to make sure, you're studying, trying to get these certs, because I love a plan A. I'm always for it. I don't believe in failure, but just because I don't believe in failure, I'm always going to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm going to go Z. I got plans for everything. I'm going to have a backup to keep going. So I was like, hey, well, you still need to better yourself, because just in case, it doesn't go well, let's say if you can't pass this PT test, let's just say that, I don't know, if higher tenure comes back around and then they start trying to push people out, you want to make sure you're ready. You know what I mean? So I had to get them buy into that. And he was a great, great guy. And he came in, he was just like, well, I come to work for you. And I was just like, no, no, you don't come to work for me. You come to work. I was like, it has to start with you. I was like, every morning you wake up, you think about someone. You think about your wife, your kids, your mother, your grandmother. You love somebody in this world, has your heart, has the ability to motivate you, and you want to be better for them. I was like, not for me. You don't work for me. You report to me, but you don't work for me. You work for the people you love. And that's going to determine how much energy and effort you're going to put into being successful or getting to that next step or wherever it is you might want to be. He was like, okay, and I was like, yeah, don't, because you won't have another Sergeant Mons. You want to have someone different. So I want to set you up to be able to do your part and what you're capable of doing. So if the next person is not, say he's not engaging enough in his people, like he said, he got a bad little recommendation for the Space Force. And I was like, well, this is what I would do. This is me personally. I was like, I would make sure I'm proficient at my job. I keep a I love me folder everywhere I go. Whether I keep it on my desktop, I keep it on the shared drive, it's everything that I work on. That way, so when it comes time to me to be like, hey, well, this is what I've done, I don't have to go back and try to play guessing games or regurgitate it. I get people to send me, send me their remarks if I work on a project, and they'll send me an email like, hey, kudos, like, hey, can you write up something real quick, and I'll just drop it into my I love me folders. That way, I have the leverage and the ammo to go to saying, hey, well, I'm up for promotion. This is what I've done. These are the people that vouch for my work. And I told him to start by doing that. And I was like, well, if you have all this right here lined up, and even then when it comes to your writing your EPR, I make my troops write theirs first, and I go through and I clean it up because I want to teach them a writing skill. I was like, writing is critical through your advancement period. I was like, you're going to have to be able to put something on a white paper, and someone's got to read it and be like, hey, this is it. This is good. So it's like, it's not my job to just, it is, I'm supposed to take care of you, but I would be doing you a disservice that once I leave, and you coming up and you're like, oh, well, my ranking, my ratings suck. And you know what I mean? The last guy didn't care. So I was like, hey, write it up yourself. Keep your ammo. You'd be like, hey, sir, this is what I want. I came up for this opportunities. I'm eligible for this. Now I've done X, Y, and Z. I typed up everything I typed up everything in a document. So how do you feel about endorsing me for this program? And that's how I was able to be successful in my career. I didn't leave my career up to anybody else to tell me no. I made it inevitable to tell me no. Like I made sure I was doing my job, and when it comes out, if the person that wanted to be lazy per se, you didn't have to do the work. I would do the work. I would do the work and be like, this is what I'm done, yes or no on this. And I had the bullets and the ammo like to back up. I am exactly who I say I am.
Yep.
And that throughout my career was just like, well, you know, it just kept going step for step, and it served me wonders. So I've been passing that along. Every time something came up for an opportunity, I'd be like, oh, well, I don't know if you can do this. And I'm like, well, yes, I can. I meet this requirements, and I'm making sure I'm top tier in all these areas. This is what I've been doing. I know I was an E5, knowing the big thing, getting into tech, E6. I was like, you know, you got to have command involvement. It's not based off what I can do within just my communications department, my shop, my flight. It's about what I'm doing for, you know, my whole fighter wing, what I'm doing for Air Force as a whole, represent them as an ambassador. So it's like, okay, well, this is what I do. I'm one of your top staff sergeants in the flight, if not the top. I perform round robins where I go throughout the state, which I travel through all sites doing servers upgrade, cutting T1s, you know, upgrading equipment, training people. And I was like, I've done these metrics, and I was like, for the fighter wing as a whole, I'm a part of the Cultural Diversity Enhancement Team. I'm a part of the Air Force Sergeant Association. I'm a part of Junior Enlisted Council. And these are not, I'm just not members in it. I'm treasurer. You know what I mean? I have roles that's like forward facing.
Yep.
And that's what it takes when I say those soft skills, because for you to grow your career, you got to get in those forward facing roles. You can't hide in the shadows anymore. As much as we like to, and we think like someone's just going to be like, oh man, just pick him and just save him, or pick her, just save. It doesn't. I mean, those happens, but they're less often. So even when those happen, you got to be a part of a circle. And I was never want to be a part of the so-called good old boys.
Yep.
I kind of walk my own path. That's one thing I'm like, yeah, I would never ever be a part of the good boy circle. I don't want to be. I got everything. I'm going to earn it myself, not because of who I know or what I know. Granted, that those does happen, but if I'm there, it's because I'm supposed to be there. That's what I want, not because someone just did me a favor and I was underqualified. I'm supposed to be there.
Yep.
So I took that at every step, and I was when I got to the Air Force, I guess I was a staff, and I went into the civil service side. I was a GS9, worked my way up, GS11. I took a GS12 with the Federal Aviation Administration. And every point, I just make sure I was striving. I came in, and I was, as an automation guy, I was working with the SOC. I wanted to learn how to do cutovers. Hey, I was working with the fast team up stairs to learn how to do, you know, the Linux commands to work through the draft service and the things of that nature. I was always not just sticking in my role. Once that learning curve became short, I started expanding out. I want to see what their role was. I want to see what their role was, because I can have options to grow. I didn't want to just be one single point of failure. Like, okay, well, he has to go up into, you know, a coordinate position. No, I wanted to take a fast team position. I was eligible to take a detail at the SOC. I can look into a PSS role. Like, I always wanted to create as many options as possible. And a lot of times it's there at work. I mean, if you're working 8 to 10 hours a day, it's highly, like, it's working at IT. Once you get you get your ticket queue down, you make sure the customer, you have time to yourself to not just sit there, you know, pick your feet up. Most people would bring video games. I'm bringing books and I'm taking classes. My manager comes in, he's like, what you working on? I'm just like, oh, I'm just knocking out, you know, this cert right here. Hey, I'm reading this book. Hey, I'm taking this class, you know, for my master's. Hey, I'm doing this. And he was just like, okay. He's like, you're driven. I was like, yeah, I want to make sure when it comes down to it, like, I'm there. And if I lose, it won't be because Carlos didn't do his work.
Yeah.
I would hate that feel. I hate that to know that someone could tell me, well, you weren't ready. You didn't do X, Y, Z. That hurts me more than anything. It's like, yeah, it just feels like, well, man, I didn't do my part, and now the people who I love and care about the most suffer because of it. Because that's a true reason why we do it. Yeah, you know what I mean. If I'm gonna spend 8 and 10 hours a day away from them who I love, I'm gonna be utilizing my time, because I would much rather be home. I would much rather not miss these soccer games, not miss these dinner days, these birthdays, and these holidays. Everything we sacrifice, I would. So if I'm gonna be away from them and hurt them, I'm gonna make sure I'm utilizing that time. So I gotta keep I got to keep going at it. It's not for me to sit up there and be relaxed and be complacent. I got to get to a point where I'm able to get that time back. And that's where I am now. I'm able to get a lot of time back. Yeah, I sacrificed a lot of time in my 20s, but I get so much time back. Now it's just like, yeah, we get to go where we want to go. We enjoy life. Like I say, we live a life without worrying. And that itself saves time, because you spend hours up at night. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? You know what I mean? Oh, well, the kids need this. Oh, well, we need to do this right here. We need more space. That's time that eats up your mental time. Your mental capacity is chopped away because you're in this space of always like, man, like I can't do this. And it just drains you. So I'd like to be proactive while I had the energy. And it's just been a blessing that it all just played off. Like, it's just been a blessing and hard work, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
I love that, Carlos, man. I say this, right? You just basically gave the game of how to constantly get promoted, how to continuously level up, and how to live a very productive life.